The young man held the billionaire's wheelchair steady, his hands shaking as sweat dripped down his forehead. His eyes darted around the mansion's dimly lit room. The billionaire, dressed in a silk robe, his dark skin shining under the lamp, looked straight at him with sharp, suspicious eyes. "I know what you're planning," the billionaire said in a voice that was calm but filled with weight, like a knife sliding across glass. The young man froze, his mouth dry. He had only been hired 2 months ago to take care of this paralyzed billionaire, to feed him, bathe him, roll his chair, and manage the machines that kept him alive. But tonight, everything was different. Tonight, secrets were bleeding out. The billionaire tilted his head slightly, his lips curling into something between a smile and a threat. "You think I don't see? You think I don't hear? I know what you've been doing when you thought I was asleep. You're not just here to help me, are you?" The young man swallowed hard, his heart pounding. He wanted to deny it, to say something safe, but his voice got trapped inside him. The billionaire's eyes narrowed. "Do it then. If you came to finish what you started, do it now. Don't be a coward." A chill filled the room. The silence felt heavy, pressing against the young man's chest. He gripped the handles of the wheelchair tighter. His mind raced. His decision in the next second could change everything. And then, a loud crash echoed from upstairs. The young man spun around. The sound of something heavy falling, glass shattering, and a woman screaming split the air. He turned back toward the billionaire, who stared at him with an unreadable expression. "What was that?" the young man whispered, his voice shaking. The billionaire's smile faded. His eyes darkened. "It's starting," he said. And before the young man could even take a step, the mansion's front doors burst open. 2 months earlier, before all of this began, Daniel Price was just a 21-year-old kid struggling to survive in Chicago. He lived in a small, one-bedroom apartment in a rough neighborhood. The paint peeled off the walls, the ceiling leaked when it rained, and the fridge was almost always empty. His mother had died 3 years ago, leaving him alone. His father had been in prison since Daniel was 12. Daniel had big dreams, dreams of becoming a music producer, but dreams didn't pay bills. He worked odd jobs at gas stations, washed cars, and sometimes helped unload trucks for cash. Still, it was never enough. The rent piled up, the electric company sent warning letters, and some nights Daniel went to bed hungry. One evening, after another long day of struggling, he sat on his couch scrolling through his cracked phone. That was when he saw an ad. Personal assistant needed. High pay. Must be trustworthy. Must be willing to live in. Call immediately. At first, Daniel thought it was some scam. But the phone number was local, and something inside him told him to try. He dialed. The next morning, he found himself standing in front of the biggest mansion he had ever seen in his life. It was surrounded by tall iron gates, guarded by cameras and security men in black suits. When the gates opened, Daniel stepped into a world he had only seen on TV. Marble floors, golden chandeliers, glass walls overlooking the city, everything screamed money. And at the heart of it all was the man Daniel was supposed to take care of, Marcus Black. Marcus Black was a billionaire known all over America. He had built empires in tech, real estate, and media. He was fresh, flashy, always in expensive suits and jewelry. But 2 years ago, a mysterious car accident left him paralyzed from the neck down. Since then, he had lived locked inside his mansion, dependent on machines and caretakers. The first time Daniel saw him, Marcus was sitting in a sleek black wheelchair, his sharp eyes studying Daniel like a hawk. "You're young," Marcus said, his deep voice filling the room. Most of the others who applied were old and boring. But maybe that's a good thing. I like fresh blood. Daniel shifted nervously. I just need a job, sir." Marcus smirked. "Need a job or need money?" Daniel hesitated, then answered honestly. "Both." That made Marcus laugh, a short, hard laugh that echoed off the walls. "At least you're honest. Fine. You'll live here. You'll feed me, clean me, manage my meds, roll me outside when I want sun. Do it right, and you'll get paid more than you've ever seen in your life. Do it wrong, he paused, his eyes cold. You won't like what happens. And just like that, Daniel's life changed. At first, everything seemed simple. Daniel woke Marcus up in the mornings, brushed his teeth, prepared meals, and wheeled him around the mansion. But slowly, Daniel began to notice strange things. The mansion was too quiet at night. Sometimes, he heard whispers in the hallways even when no one else was supposed to be there. Sometimes, Marcus would receive phone calls at odd hours, speaking in low tones about deals and people Daniel had never heard of. And sometimes, Marcus would look at him for a long time, almost like he was measuring him for something more than just a caretaker. One night, Daniel was cleaning Marcus's room when he found a file hidden in the drawer of Marcus's bedside table. Inside were photos, grainy, black and white photos of people Daniel didn't recognize. Some of them looked beaten, tied up. Others had big red X's marked over their faces. Daniel's stomach dropped. What was this? Before he could look further, Marcus's voice cut through the air. What are you doing in my drawer, Daniel? Daniel nearly jumped out of his skin, slamming the file shut. He turned, stammering, I was just cleaning. Marcus's eyes locked on his. For a moment, Daniel thought he was done for. But then, Marcus's lips curved into a slow smile. You're curious, Marcus said softly. That's dangerous. But maybe it's also useful. The next morning, Marcus asked Daniel to push him outside for some fresh air. They sat by the pool, the sun shining down, the water sparkling. Marcus's face was unreadable as he spoke. You think I'm just some broken man sitting in a chair, Marcus said. But this chair doesn't make me weak. It makes me powerful. People underestimate me. And when they do, I crush them. Daniel swallowed hard. He didn't know what to say. Marcus leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Do you want to be rich, Daniel? Daniel's heart skipped. Yes. Then don't just be my caretaker, Marcus said. Be my partner. Daniel stared at him, confused. Partner? Partner in what? But before Marcus could explain, the sound of tires screeching echoed from the front gate. Daniel turned to see two black SUVs speeding toward the mansion, kicking up dust. Security guards shouted and rushed forward. Marcus's eyes narrowed. They're here. Who's here? Daniel asked, panicking. Marcus didn't answer. His face was calm, too calm. The SUVs slammed to a stop. Men in black masks and gloves jumped out, guns in their hands. The guards barely had time to react before shots rang out. The air exploded with chaos. Bullets cracked, glass shattered, and screams filled the mansion grounds. Daniel grabbed the wheelchair handles, his hands trembling. What do we do? He shouted. Marcus's voice was like steel. You run. Now. But Daniel couldn't move. The men were already charging toward them. And in that terrifying moment, as the masked men closed in, Marcus turned his head, looked at Daniel with piercing eyes, and whispered something that made Daniel's blood run cold. They're not here for me. They're here for you. The gunshots cracked through the air, louder than thunder. Daniel's ears rang as he ducked behind the billionaire's wheelchair, his heart pounding so fast he thought it would burst. The masked men stormed into the mansion grounds, their boots slamming against the stone, their weapons raised. They're here for you, Marcus repeated, his calm voice like ice while bullets shattered the windows around them. Daniel's chest tightened. His mind spun in circles. For me? Why? I don't even know these people. He wanted to run, to scream, to wake up from this nightmare, but his legs felt locked in place. Marcus's eyes stayed locked on him, sharp and knowing. Move, Daniel, or you'll die here. The first masked man reached the poolside, raising his gun. Daniel didn't think, he just acted. He grabbed the handles of Marcus's wheelchair and shoved with all his strength, rolling the billionaire back toward the glass doors of the mansion. Bullets ripped into the ground where they had just been, chunks of marble exploding like sparks. Faster! Marcus barked. Daniel rammed the wheelchair through the sliding doors, shoving them so hard the glass cracked. Inside, the mansion was chaos. Guards were down, furniture overturned, alarms blaring. Daniel's shoes squeaked on the polished floor as he raced down the long hallways, pushing Marcus like his life depended on it, because it did. "Where do we go?" Daniel shouted. "The East Wing," Marcus snapped. "There's a panic room. Go left, then down the hall." Daniel didn't stop to question. He turned left, sweat dripping down his back, his muscles screaming from the effort. His mind kept echoing Marcus's words. "They're here for you." What did that even mean? He was just some broke kid from Chicago. Why would masked gunmen attack a billionaire's mansion for him? As they sped down the hall, a second group of men appeared from the other end, rifles in their hands. "Down!" Marcus shouted. Daniel shoved the wheelchair into the nearest door, slamming it shut behind them. They found themselves in a massive library, walls lined with tall shelves of books. The smell of leather and old paper filled the air. "Push me to the fireplace," Marcus ordered, his voice steady even now. Daniel obeyed, wheeling him across the thick carpet. Marcus pressed a button on the armrest of his chair, and the fireplace groaned as the bricks shifted. Slowly, the entire structure slid sideways, revealing a steel door behind it. "A hidden room," Daniel whispered, his eyes wide. Marcus's lips twitched. "You're surprised? Money buys safety, Daniel. Or at least it's supposed to." But before Marcus could activate the lock, the library doors burst open. The masked men poured in, their guns aimed directly at them. Daniel froze, his breath caught in his throat. He felt like a rabbit cornered by wolves. The leader of the group stepped forward, his mask tighter, his stance more confident than the rest. His voice was deep and gravelly when he spoke. "Step away from him, kid. We only want you." Daniel's stomach dropped. His whole body shook as the truth hit him again. Marcus hadn't been lying. These men really were after him. But why? "I don't even know you," Daniel shouted, his voice cracking. The leader tilted his head. "You don't need to know us. But you know enough. More than you should. Come with us quietly, and maybe you live." Marcus's voice cut the air like a knife. "Don't believe him. If they take you, you're dead before sunrise." The guns shifted between Marcus and Daniel, the men growing impatient. The leader barked again. "Last chance. Step away from him." Daniel's legs shook. His mind screamed. Every choice felt like the wrong one. And then, without warning, Marcus pressed a hidden switch on his wheelchair. A blinding flash exploded from the armrest. The men screamed, clutching their eyes as the flashbang went off, filling the library with white light and smoke. "Run, Daniel!" Marcus shouted. Daniel didn't think. He shoved the wheelchair forward, barreling through the cloud of smoke. The steel door to the panic room slid open just enough for them to slip inside. Daniel pushed Marcus through, slammed it shut, and locked the heavy bolt. The sound of fists pounding on the steel echoed behind them, but the door held. Inside, the panic room was unlike anything Daniel had ever seen. Computer screens lined the walls, showing every corner of the mansion through hidden cameras. Weapons were stacked in cases. Shelves of cash, gold bars, and hard drives sat neatly arranged. It wasn't just a panic room. It was a war room. Marcus's breathing was heavy now, his face pale. "We don't have much time. They'll find a way through eventually." Daniel turned to him, his voice shaking. "Why are they after me? I didn't do anything." Marcus stared at him for a long moment, then spoke in a low, sharp voice. "You did. You just don't know it yet." Daniel blinked, confused. "What are you talking about?" Marcus leaned his head back, his dark eyes never leaving Daniel's. "Your father, Daniel. He wasn't just some criminal who went to prison. He was one of my men. My most trusted until he betrayed me." "Those files you found?" "He's the reason for half of them." Daniel's mouth went dry. My dad? No. That's not possible." Marcus's lips curled into a bitter smile. "It's not only possible. It's true. and now his sins have caught up to you. These men don't just want revenge on him, they want what he stole. And they think you know where it is." Daniel staggered back, his mind spinning. He felt like the ground had been ripped out from under him. His dad, the man who had been in prison most of his life, tied to all of this? "I don't know anything," Daniel whispered, shaking his head. Marcus's eyes hardened. "That doesn't matter. They believe you do. And belief is all it takes to kill you." Before Daniel could respond, the security monitors flickered. He turned toward the screens and felt his stomach twist. The masked men were inside the mansion, sweeping every room, cutting through the guards like they were nothing. And now, they were drilling into the steel door of the panic room. Sparks flew as the drill bit screeched against the metal. Marcus's voice cut through the rising panic. "They'll break through in minutes. You have to decide, Daniel. Are you going to keep running, or are you going to fight?" Daniel stared at him, terrified, his heart racing. And then, the drilling stopped. A new sound filled the air, deeper, more terrifying. A loud boom shook the entire mansion, dust raining from the ceiling. On the monitors, Daniel saw the men carrying something, a black, boxy device with wires and blinking red lights. Marcus's face went grim. "They brought explosives." Daniel's throat tightened. "What do we do now?" The billionaire's eyes locked on his, sharp and unflinching. "Now, Daniel, we prepare to kill them before they kill us." The pounding on the steel door grew louder. The timer on the bomb ticked down. Every second felt like a hammer smashing Daniel's chest. His hands trembled as Marcus opened a hidden drawer in his wheelchair, revealing 2 handguns and a set of keys. "Take one," Marcus ordered. "Because when that door blows open, there will be no more running." Daniel's shaking hand reached for the gun. His reflection stared back at him in the polished steel of the weapon. A broke kid from Chicago, now holding a gun in a billionaire's war room, about to fight trained killers. The countdown beeped louder on the monitor. 3, 2, 1. The screen flashed white. The steel door blasted inward with a deafening boom. Smoke and fire filled the panic room as the masked men poured through, guns raised. Daniel screamed and raised the weapon, his finger tightening on the trigger. And everything went black. The roar of the explosion still echoed in Daniel's ears as the steel door flew across the room like paper. Smoke and sparks blinded him, choking the air, making it hard to breathe. His hands shook violently, but the gun was still clutched in his grip. He could barely see through the haze, but he could hear them, boots slamming against the floor, the metallic clicks of rifles being raised. "Shoot!" Marcus barked, his voice sharp as lightning. Daniel's finger jerked on the trigger. The gun roared in his hand, the recoil jarring his wrist. The flash lit up the smoke for a split second. One of the masked men stumbled, a sharp cry muffled by his balaclava as he fell backward. But there were more. Too many. Bullets tore through the panic room. Sparks burst from the walls as rounds ricocheted off steel. Daniel ducked behind a crate of cash, his heart hammering so loud it drowned out the chaos. His ears rang, his breathing ragged. Marcus, though frozen in his chair, was calm, too calm. His finger pressed another button on his armrest, and hidden compartments slid open in the panic room walls. Automated guns swiveled into place, locking onto the intruders. "Now they bleed," Marcus muttered. The turrets opened fire, spraying the room with rapid bursts. The masked men screamed, diving for cover. The sound was deafening. Metal against metal, bullets slicing the air, shelves collapsing, money flying like confetti in the storm of violence. Daniel squeezed off more shots, his vision blurred with terror. Somehow, he hit another one of them, dropping him to the floor. Blood pooled quickly on the polished steel. But for every man that fell, another seemed to step forward. The leader pushed through the smoke, taller than the rest, moving like a shadow. His mask gleamed under the flickering light, and in his hands was not a rifle, but a shotgun. He raised it, aimed directly at Marcus, and fired. Daniel screamed. He lunged, shoving Marcus's chair just in time. The blast ripped into the crate of gold bars behind them, shattering it into a glittering spray. The leader's voice thundered through the smoke. "Enough games, kid. Give yourself up, and maybe we let him live." Daniel's chest heaved. He could barely keep his grip on the gun. Sweat poured into his eyes, stinging. Every word from the man made his stomach twist. "They're not leaving without you," Marcus growled. "Do you understand? Whether you surrender or not, they'll kill you. And me. Unless—" Marcus's voice dropped into a cold whisper. "Unless you kill him first." Daniel blinked through the smoke. The leader was advancing, step by step, his shotgun raised. He seemed unstoppable, like a nightmare given flesh. Daniel's hands trembled. He had never killed before. Firing blindly into smoke had been one thing, but aiming at a man, pulling the trigger knowing what it meant, that was something else. "Do it!" Marcus snapped, his voice like a whip. "Don't freeze now, Daniel. Or you'll be dead in 5 seconds." The leader leveled the shotgun. Daniel screamed and pulled the trigger. The shot rang out, echoing like thunder. The leader staggered. His shotgun slipped from his hands, clattering to the floor. He stumbled back, clutching his chest, his knees buckling. Slowly, he collapsed onto the steel floor, unmoving. Daniel's whole body shook. His stomach turned. He wanted to throw up, to wake up, to run far from this place. But there was no running anymore. He had crossed a line. The remaining masked men froze for a moment, stunned by their leader's fall. Marcus didn't waste it. "Finish it, Daniel. Don't stop now." Something inside Daniel snapped. He raised the gun again, firing wildly. The turrets roared beside him. The last of the intruders fell one by one, their screams cut short as they hit the floor. And then, silence. The panic room was a graveyard. Smoke hung in the air, thick and choking. Bodies lay sprawled across the steel, blood mixing with the piles of money and gold that had been scattered in the firefight. Daniel collapsed to his knees, the gun slipping from his hand. His chest heaved, tears stinging his eyes. His body trembled uncontrollably. Marcus's voice broke the silence. Calm, cold, unshaken. "You did well." Daniel turned toward him, his face twisted with horror. "I killed them. I killed them all." Marcus tilted his head. "You killed to survive. There's a difference. Remember that." Daniel shook his head violently. No, I'm not like this. I'm not." Marcus cut him off sharply. "You are now. And that's exactly why I chose you." Daniel froze, his blood running cold. "Chose me? What are you talking about?" Marcus's eyes burned into his. "Do you really think it was luck that brought you here? That stupid little ad you answered? That was for you, Daniel. Only you. I've been watching you for years." Daniel's jaw dropped. His mind reeled. "What? That's insane. Why me?" Marcus leaned forward in his chair, his voice lowering to a dark growl. "Because you are your father's son." Daniel's body went rigid. He shook his head, refusing the words. "No. My dad's he's just some guy who messed up. He's in prison. He has nothing to do with this." Marcus smirked. "Is that what you believe? He wasn't just some petty criminal. He worked for me. He stole from me. And he left behind a trail of enemies, men like the ones who came tonight. He left behind something else too. Something worth billions. And whether you know it or not, Daniel, you are the key to finding it." Daniel's stomach dropped. His throat tightened. "I don't know anything," he shouted. Marcus's smirk didn't fade. "Not yet. But you will." The sound of distant sirens pierced the silence, faint but growing closer. Police. Maybe FBI. Daniel's heart leapt. Help. Safety. Maybe this nightmare was finally over. But Marcus's face hardened. His voice turned sharp. "You listen to me, Daniel. You cannot let them take you. The police aren't here to save you. They're here for the same thing the masked men wanted. They want what your father hid. And if they take you, they'll squeeze you until you break." Daniel's breathing grew frantic. His mind screamed, Who could he trust? Was Marcus lying? Were the police really enemies too? The sirens grew louder, closer. Red and blue lights flickered faintly through the smoke outside. Marcus's eyes locked on Daniel's, burning with intensity. You have one choice now. Stay with me and we fight. Or walk out there and die. The sound of tires screeched outside the mansion. Doors slammed. Boots pounded the pavement. Voices shouted, commanding, rushing. Daniel stood frozen, caught between the billionaire in the chair and the law outside. His gun lay at his feet, stained with blood. His hands shook, his breath came in gasps. Choose, Daniel, Marcus whispered. Choose now. The pounding on the mansion's front doors grew louder. And then, the lights in the panic room went out. Every screen, every bulb, total darkness. Daniel gasped. What's happening? Marcus's voice was calm, but there was a strange edge to it now. Almost like he had been expecting this. They're not the police. A new sound filled the air. The low, steady whine of a drill biting into steel again. Only this time, it wasn't at the panic room door. It was coming from beneath their feet. The grinding sound from beneath the steel floor was slow at first, like a whisper of danger. But then it grew sharper, louder, a high-pitched screech that rattled Daniel's bones. The panic room shook under his knees, dust sprinkling down from the ceiling. Daniel staggered back, his heart slamming in his chest. They're under us. Marcus didn't flinch. He sat in his wheelchair, his dark eyes calm, almost too calm. I told you. This isn't over. Daniel's throat tightened. Who are they now? More of those masked men. Marcus's lips curled into something between a smile and a snarl. Not them. Someone worse. The drill cut deeper, sparks spitting out from the floor vent. Daniel's trembling hands reached for the gun he had dropped. His palms were slick with sweat. He picked it up, but it felt like holding fire. Too heavy, too deadly. The noise stopped suddenly. Daniel froze. The room fell silent except for his ragged breathing. He glanced at Marcus, who never took his eyes off the floor. Then, boom. A section of the steel floor blew upward like a trapdoor. A hole gaped wide and smoke poured out, thick and choking. Figures began climbing through. Black armor, helmets, rifles with glowing scopes. These weren't ragged masked men. They moved in perfect lines, precise, professional. SWAT, Daniel whispered. His voice cracked with a fragile hope. Marcus let out a low laugh, humorless and cold. Not SWAT. Private contractors. Hired killers. Military trained. The first soldier stepped into the panic room. His helmet's visor glowed faintly red. His voice came through a modulator, robotic and cruel. Target acquired. Neutralize the billionaire. Secure the boy. Daniel's stomach flipped. The boy. Him. Again. Always him. The soldiers fanned out with machine-like precision, aiming their rifles. Marcus hissed. Stay behind me. Daniel's voice cracked. What do we do? Marcus pressed a switch on his chair. The walls of the panic room shifted again, sliding open to reveal heavier weapons. Grenades, shotguns, rifles that looked like they belonged on a battlefield. You fight, Marcus said simply. Daniel's chest heaved. His hands shook as he reached for a rifle. The metal was cold and heavy against his skin. He wanted to throw it away, to scream, to run. But there was no running. Not anymore. The soldiers advanced. Marcus's turrets activated again, swiveling and locking onto the intruders. The room erupted in chaos. Gunfire exploded, flashes lighting the smoke. Bullets sliced through the air, shattering crates, tearing books off shelves. Daniel ducked behind a pile of cash, firing blindly. His shoulder slammed against the recoil. Sparks burst near his face as bullets struck inches from him. One soldier went down, his helmet cracking under turret fire. Another rolled a smoke grenade, filling the room with choking white clouds. Daniel coughed, his eyes burning. He could barely see Marcus's outline in the haze. Daniel! Marcus's voice was sharp. Stay focused. Aim for the gaps in their armor, neck, knees. Daniel's vision blurred with tears and smoke, but he forced himself to focus. He aimed at the faint outline of a soldier's glowing visor. His finger pulled the trigger. The man fell back, his helmet shattering. Adrenaline surged through Daniel. His hands steadied. He fired again, dropping another soldier. But for every one he hit, 2 more climbed out of the hole. They just keep coming, Daniel cried. Marcus slammed a button on his chair. A hidden compartment in the floor slid open, revealing a narrow tunnel. The billionaire's voice was sharp and urgent. Push me in. Now. Daniel didn't think. He grabbed the handles of Marcus's chair and shoved him toward the opening. Bullets ripped into the steel around them, sparks stinging Daniel's arms. The soldiers shouted, their voices distorted. Don't let them escape. Daniel shoved Marcus into the tunnel and jumped in after him. The steel hatch slammed shut above them. Darkness swallowed them whole. For a moment, Daniel could only hear his own ragged breathing, his heart hammering like a drum. Then the tunnel lights flickered on, dim and red. It was narrow, metallic, the walls lined with wires and pipe. The air smelled of oil and dust. Where does this go? Daniel asked, his voice shaky. Marcus's tone was steady. Out. Or deeper in, depending on what I choose. Daniel frowned, pushing Marcus forward. What do you mean, depending on what you choose? Marcus turned his head slightly, his eyes sharp in the dim glow. Do you really think I built just one escape tunnel? This mansion is a fortress, a maze, and every path leads where I want it to. Daniel's stomach churned. He kept pushing, the wheels squeaking against the floor. His mind wouldn't stop racing. Why me, Marcus? He burst out suddenly. Why am I the one they're all after? Why not you? Why not anyone else? Marcus was silent for a moment. Then he spoke, his voice low and heavy. Because your father stole something from me. Something priceless. Something men are willing to kill for. And they believe he hid it in you. Daniel blinked. His voice cracked. What? In me? That doesn't make sense. Marcus's lips twitched into a cold smile. Doesn't it? Memories. Code. Blood. You'd be surprised what a man can hide in his own child. Daniel's stomach dropped. His father. Prison. Lies. Secret. He shook his head violently. No. I don't know anything. I don't. Before he could finish, the tunnel shook violently. A deafening boom echoed from behind them. Dust rained from the ceiling. They found the hatch, Marcus muttered. They're blowing it open. Daniel's pulse skyrocketed. We have to move faster. He shoved Marcus's chair down the tunnel, his legs burning, his lungs screaming. The tunnel twisted and turned like a snake. Behind them, the echoes of boots and shouts grew louder. At last, the tunnel split into 2 paths. One veered upward, a faint light glowing at the end. The other curved downward into darkness. Marcus's voice was cold and sharp. Left or right, Daniel? Choose. Daniel froze. His chest heaved. His head spun. The voices behind them grew louder, closer. Which way is out? Daniel demanded. Marcus's eyes glinted. One leads to freedom. The other leads to answers. Choose. Daniel's throat tightened. His hands gripped the wheelchair so tight his knuckles turned white. He stared at the 2 paths, every nerve in his body screaming at him to pick. Behind them, the soldiers' flashlights glowed in the tunnel, cutting closer and closer. Daniel squeezed his eyes shut. His chest heaved. He shoved Marcus toward the boom. The ceiling above them exploded. Concrete and steel crashed down, blocking one path completely. Dust filled the air, choking Daniel. When it cleared, only one path remained open, the one leading downward into darkness. Marcus's lips curled into a grim smile. So the choice is made. Daniel swallowed hard, pushing Marcus into the pitch black. As they descended deeper, the air grew colder. The tunnel widened into something unexpected, a vast underground chamber. Lights flickered on automatically, revealing walls covered in maps, documents, and photos. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. His face went pale. The walls were filled with pictures of him. Daniel at school. Daniel on the street. Daniel with his mother. Daniel sleeping in his tiny apartment. Every moment of his life, tracked, recorded, pinned to the walls like evidence. His knees buckled. "Oh my God!" Marcus turned his chair to face him. His voice was calm, steady, and terrifying. "I told you, Daniel. You were never just a caretaker. You were always the prize." Daniel stumbled back, his chest heaving, his mind spinning. Why would you do this?" he whispered. Marcus's eyes locked on his, cold as stone. "Because, Daniel, only you can finish what your father started." Before Daniel could speak, the sound of boots echoed again. The soldiers had found another way in. Their flashlights cut across the chamber walls, landing directly on Daniel's terrified face. "Target sighted," one of them shouted. The gunfire began again. The police lights painted the mansion in red and blue. The once proud estate of Leonard Kane now looked like a stage for a crime scene. Yellow tape stretched across the gate. Neighbors whispered from their cars, taking videos, their voices shaking with shock. A billionaire paralyzed in his own home. His young caretaker suspected of betrayal. And a pile of dirty money that seemed to burn everyone who touched it. Ryan stood at the edge of the driveway, hands cuffed behind him. His eyes darted left and right, searching for an escape that no longer existed. Two officers held his shoulders tightly, their faces blank. But Ryan's mind wasn't blank. His head was a storm. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He hadn't wanted Leonard dead. He hadn't planned to betray him, not at first. The old man had taken him in when no one else would, given him a roof, given him money. But the money was like a poison. It whispered in his ear every night. It told him he could be free, that he could be rich, that he didn't need to serve anyone anymore. And now Leonard was gone. Detective Harris approached, her black coat fluttering in the night breeze. She was tall, sharp-eyed, and her voice cut like a knife. "Ryan Cole," she said coldly. "You're under arrest for the suspected murder of Leonard Kane. You have the right to remain silent." But Ryan wasn't listening to the words. His ears rang. His throat felt dry as sandpaper. "It wasn't me," he croaked. "I didn't kill him. You have to believe me." "Save it for the station," Harris replied. She signaled to the officers, and they shoved Ryan toward the waiting car. Cameras flashed. News reporters screamed questions. "Did you kill him, Ryan? Were you stealing his money? Was it an inside job?" The world blurred as Ryan was pushed into the back seat of the police cruiser. He sat in the hard plastic chair, staring at his reflection in the glass. His own face looked like a stranger's, pale, sweaty, eyes wide with fear. But then something strange happened. Just as the cruiser was about to drive away, Ryan saw something in the crowd. A wheelchair. A familiar one. And sitting in it, half hidden by the shadows, was Leonard Kane. Ryan's stomach dropped. His breath caught. His eyes widened in disbelief. No. That wasn't possible. Leonard was dead. He had seen the lifeless body. He had heard the whispers. He had watched the paramedics cover him with a sheet. But the man in the wheelchair, the face was Leonard's. Pale, tired, but alive. Ryan blinked hard, thinking it was a trick of the light. When he looked again, the wheelchair was gone. The crowd had swallowed it whole. He pressed his forehead to the window, his heart hammering. "No, no, no, no," he whispered. Inside the police station, Ryan was dragged through the halls like a piece of evidence. He was placed in a small, cold interrogation room with a metal table and 2 chairs. A single camera blinked in the corner. Detective Harris entered, carrying a folder. She dropped it on the table with a loud smack. "Do you know how much money was missing from Leonard Kane's hidden accounts?" she asked. Ryan shook his head, silent. $72 million, Harris said, her eyes never leaving his face. "Gone. Transferred into offshore accounts in the last week. Accounts that lead to your name, Ryan." Ryan's mouth fell open. No, no, that's not true. I didn't. Yes, you did, Harris snapped. And when Kane confronted you about it, you silenced him. Didn't you? Ryan banged his fists on the table, his cuffs rattling. No. I swear, I didn't kill him. I saw him. Tonight, at the mansion, I saw him in his wheelchair. Harris froze for half a second, then leaned forward. What did you just say? I saw him, Ryan insisted, his voice desperate. He's alive. He was there, watching everything. He wanted this. He wanted me to take the fall. Harris raised an eyebrow. Ryan, Leonard Kane's death certificate was signed 2 days ago. Are you claiming the billionaire faked his own death? Ryan's chest heaved. Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. Harris studied him silently for a moment. Then she closed the folder. You realize how crazy that sounds? Ryan leaned forward, his voice trembling. Crazy or not, it's the truth. Harris stood. We'll see. She left the room, the door slamming shut behind her. Ryan dropped his head onto the table. His mind was spinning. If Leonard was alive, why would he do this? Why would he set him up? Unless the entire thing had been a trap from the start. Hours later, Ryan was shoved into a holding cell. The metal door clanged shut. Other inmates stared at him, whispering, recognizing him from the news. Ryan sat on the bunk, his head in his hands. And then, just when he thought the night couldn't get darker, the lights in the hallway flickered. The guards' radios crackled. Somewhere, an alarm went off. Ryan lifted his head, eyes darting to the bars. The hallway outside his cell grew quiet. Too quiet. And then a voice came, low and familiar. Ryan. He froze. His heart stopped. Slowly, a figure rolled into view. A wheelchair. A shadowed face. Leonard Kane. Alive. Ryan scrambled to his feet, gripping the bars with white knuckles. You're supposed to be dead, he hissed. Leonard's eyes gleamed in the dim light. His voice was soft, almost like a whisper. Dead? No, Ryan. I'm very much alive. And you're exactly where I wanted you to be. Ryan's knees weakened. His stomach twisted. The realization hit him like a hammer. Leonard hadn't just hired him. He hadn't just trusted him. He had planned everything. And now Ryan was trapped in the middle of it. The cell lights flickered again. Leonard leaned forward in his chair, his smile chilling. Now the game really begins, he said. And with that, the lights went out, plunging the prison into total darkness. Darkness swallowed the prison. Shouts echoed through the halls as inmates banged on their cell doors. Guards yelled orders, their flashlights cutting through the pitch black like thin swords of light. Somewhere down the corridor, a siren blared. Ryan's heart hammered against his chest. His hands trembled as he clutched the cold steel bars. He stared into the shadows where Leonard Kane had been, only now, the spot was empty. The wheelchair was gone, like a ghost that had slipped through the cracks of reality. No, this isn't real, Ryan whispered. But deep down, he knew it was. Leonard was alive. And worse, Leonard was pulling every string. The cell block shook as a loud explosion rattled the building. Smoke filled the air, making the inmates cough and choke. The guards scrambled, radios crackling with panic. This is a breakout, one of them screamed. Ryan staggered back, his legs weak. He didn't understand. Was Leonard behind this chaos? Had he staged a prison riot just to trap him deeper? Or was Leonard here to get him out? Suddenly, his cell door clicked. Slowly, the lock turned and the metal door swung open. Ryan froze. Standing there was a man in black, wearing a mask. His voice was rough, mechanical. Come with me if you want to live. Ryan's eyes darted between the open door and the chaos outside. Who are you? The masked man didn't answer. He grabbed Ryan by the arm, yanking him into the smoke-filled hallway. The alarms screamed louder. Guards rushed past, but none seemed to notice Ryan slipping away in the confusion. They ran through corridors, past broken doors, past unconscious guards. The masked man moved with precision, like he had planned every step. Ryan's chest burned, his lungs gasping for air. Finally, they burst through a side exit into the cold night. The prison yard was in flames. Sirens wailed in the distance. A black van waited by the fence, engine running. The masked man shoved Ryan inside. The door slammed shut. Ryan coughed, wiping the sweat and soot from his face. "What the hell is happening? Who are you?" The masked man pulled off his mask. It was Leonard. Ryan's blood turned to ice. "No," Ryan whispered. This can't be real. You're dead. You're supposed to be dead." Leonard's pale lips curled into a smile. His eyes gleamed with a madness Ryan had never seen before. "I told you, Ryan. I'm very much alive. And you've been playing my game all along." Ryan's throat tightened. His voice cracked. "Why me? Why did you do this to me?" Leonard leaned closer, his voice cold and sharp. "Because I needed a pawn. Someone desperate. Someone who wanted more than life gave him. You were perfect. I gave you a chance, and you showed me who you really are. You wanted my money. You wanted my life. But in the end, all you wanted was freedom. And now..." He pointed to the prison in the distance, flames rising into the night sky. "You'll never have it." Ryan's fists clenched. "You set me up. You framed me for murder. You stole your own money just to trap me." Leonard laughed softly, a chilling sound. "Not just to trap you. To prove a point. Everyone wants to believe in loyalty. But loyalty is a lie. You proved it." The van sped down the highway, the city lights glowing in the distance. Ryan's head spun. He was free, but not free. He was alive, but in the hands of a man more dangerous than anyone he'd ever known. Silence hung heavy between them until Leonard spoke again. His voice was calm, almost fatherly. "Do you know what happens next, Ryan?" Ryan glared at him, his chest heaving. "What?" Leonard's smile widened. "Now, you work for me." Ryan shook his head violently. "No. I'm done with your games. I'm not your puppet anymore." Leonard's eyes narrowed. He pressed a button on the van's console. A hidden screen flickered to life, showing a live video feed. Ryan's stomach dropped when he saw it. His mother, his little sister, both sitting on the couch in their small apartment, unaware that a tiny red laser dot was moving across the room. Ryan's heart nearly exploded. "No. Don't touch them." Leonard's smile never wavered. "Then you'll do exactly as I say. Because you see, Ryan, in this world, money isn't power. Control is." Tears burned Ryan's eyes. He was trapped, truly trapped. He thought he had been escaping poverty, escaping the weight of his old life. But he had walked straight into a prison much worse than steel bars. Leonard leaned back in his wheelchair, his voice smooth as silk. "Congratulations, Ryan. You're no longer a caretaker. You're my soldier now. And together, we're going to burn this world down." The van disappeared into the night, leaving only the flames of the prison behind. Ryan stared at the floor, his body trembling. He had no way out, no escape, no hope. Only the game Leonard Kane had built, a game of money, crime, and power. And he was the unwilling player. The city lights grew closer. The night stretched on, dark and merciless. For Ryan Cole, the story was far from over. It had only just begun. If you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because every new video we share brings the truth to light. Don't stop here, keep watching and stand with us against racism. Thank you for watching to the end.